I would like you to tell us a little bit how this project came and how long it took you and why, everything. Why the title, everything. It's more or less explicit.
Yes, it happened in 2021. Dorian Boguță and Dragoș Bucur, the inspectors from the last film, they are having a school for acting for cinema. They invited me to do a workshop there. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it, but we are going to learn acting, well, learn. It's a way of saying, of putting it, while making a film, a real film. So we spent like 3 weeks talking about possible subjects, about what happened during this 2020. And everyone came up with his own experience, and we put together a lot of stories. And anyway, at a certain point, we start the shootings, and in 24 days, we shot like 8 films, roughly the duration of 30 to 40 minutes. And at the end, we have like 2 films, this one and another one, but we don't have the money to finish the sound and all the rest. So it's a project that has been done without money. I mean money, but little money from here, from there. Small amounts. And
all the stories were all written by you, or the actors collaborating in the written of the stories?
Yeah, they were supervised by me, except the last one, because everything appeared to work well, and was Dorian and Dragoș. They came to me, and they told me that they would like to act in a film as well. So if I'm ready to write the script for them, so I wrote the film, the last film, for the story from the last film for them. But all the actors worked on the scripts, of all the 7 scripts, and I supervised the whole process. But it's something that was that came out of a sort of not rage, but a sense of despair. Like, the world is dying little by little. Even if I don't know if the world is dying, but the feeling was that it is, if it is not this the end, anyway, the end is on sight somewhere at a certain point, there is a limit. And it was like, anyway, this is the way I approached it, like a sort of, not a wheel, not a, it's like a sort of testimony of. A friend of mine told me that it appears to be a sort of story about the act of filmmaking. I never thought of it, but now, through this filter, I understand that there is something in this film that it's having a lot to do with a sort of ars poetica, personal.
Because, yes, because when you see the 4 stories, you shoot in terms of, in language, differently one from the other ones. One is, the first story is mostly a fixed plan. The last one is a kind of, the camera goes all the time with them. The story within in the hospital is, exactly. Everyone has his own language, and you have made that, on purpose, on the theme of each story, or something that just happens during the shooting.
Yeah, it was a kind of freestyle filmmaking. I had to compose on the spot most of the time to understand where we are, but little by little. There are some residues of my formation, because I grew up with books and literature mainly. I came from painting to cinema, and there is a way of, when you are into painting, you are not asking for money from the state in order to produce your painting. There is no this financial dimension of the thing, and nobody requires a script. You have the painting in your mind, and then you start working on it, and then you start from here, and you are going to change step by step, making interventions in it. And then the whole project was possible because they were very much into it, the actors. They really wanted to. I was lucky. It was a great experience.
It's not the first film you do like that. Mom Croc was from the...
Mom Croc was like this, yes, too. But
you have, in a way, thought the project in completely different way. And you see in this film that you have a kind of, and at the same time here, you can see how the world is, with these, 4 stories. You are completely like kind of portrait of the Romanian, our world, and everything. All the things. And
there are bits of there are bits and pieces of lots of things that you don't dare to express them plainly. Not because you don't have the guts, but because it's so... You cannot... It is... come si chiama? Volatile.
Volatile. I don't know how to say in English. You say in French.
Yeah. So it is very hard to circumscribe and to say this is that and this is that. It's just like the whole 2020. I mean, this year.
Yeah.
It was like the beginning of the end. For me, anyway.
And there is any other things that you work with your actors that you didn't shoot or are not in the film? Any other stories, or this? It was exactly what you worked from the beginning. How the things?
No, not quite. No. So you had to be. I mean, we had to be very well organized, and it was not just the desire of for making the film, we had to be organized because well, it's a matter of money, not enough money. So if there is something there's not there, is because I couldn't allow myself to shoot something else. It's different when we are talking about, for example, a film like Malmkrog, because I was backed up by Anka, my wife, who's the producer. I could shoot, I had this opportunity to shoot more and then to not much more, but still like 20 or 30 minutes more, and to cut them down. Well, it happened previously as well. Because the idea is that you have a story, the story does not exist. It's just the storyteller that exists. And the storyteller is picking moments from the whole story of life, and he's building up his own story out of a story that does not exist, the story of life. It is just a huge continuum. And you pick this, and this, and you said, this is what happened. This is what I felt like, and so on and so forth. So the ideal situation is, for me, is to write a long script and then to shoot the whole thing, and then from this long story to reframe it afterwards. This is something that you cannot do because this money does not exist for this kind of
economy.
Yeah, it's an utopia. It's impossible. It's just you cannot think about it.
And you shot how many weeks?
24 days for the 8 films. So for this one, 12 days. It's like more or less 2-3 days for each story. But it had to be like, you know.
And the actors are absolutely incredible. And you don't, you know, I know that there is 1 or 2 professional actors, and there are many, you know, actors that came from, you know, people that want to act, but they have other
professions
and jobs. Yeah. And the way you work with them is something that amazes me as well. And Malcolm was the same. But this one as well, you are talking of a film that they saw it. Malmkrog, I don't think any of the people are here saw it, but it's amazing how you work with them and how you take that from them. And you like to do it like that, or you prefer to have professional actors? All your semen was like that from the beginning.
It's a mixture, but the main positions are being, let's say, controlled by professionals. It's, it is not easy because it is having a lot to do with redefining what cinema is. It sounds pretentious, but pompous rather than serious. But it is about testifying, about being there, not imagining a character, building up the character, like we are usually.
Okay, you want anyone to make a question? Or someone, you have an actress here, and you have some of the crew or something wants to say something?
I don't know, when actors say that it's difficult to work with him, it's not the work difficult, working for the film. What is difficult is that you have to work with yourself and trying to get rid of all the excuses. And he's showing you how to look at your own self in a more honest way, in a more sincere manner, and to get rid of all the excuses and the lies we'll live in. And yeah, that was the biggest thing I learned from him. And from then on, I am struggling to look at my own life more honest.
For me, it was necessary. Necessary because when we start shooting this project, this movie, I was a person, and after we finished, I was another person. And I don't know if I'm better or not, but for me it was necessary because I understand, I love cinema. I love very much cinema, and we need to learn about cinema. And when you have in my country, Cristi, Puiu, it's stupid if you don't use this opportunity. When we start the movie, Cristi come to me and say, if will be good, during the shooting will be very hard. If will be hard, will be hell. Will be hell. It was hell. It was hell, but if you don't understand what is hell, you never understand what is heaven. Now I know, and after we finish the movie and the movie screening, I feel I was in heaven, really.
What do you have to say, Cristi?
Was a nice hell.
Any more question?
First of all, thanks a lot. I'm sorry if you've been answering this question already, but I wanted to ask you to tell more about the title of the film.
Well, it was a long discussion with Thomas Ordonneau, who's the world sales agent and the co-producer of the film. We talked about this, and we had these talks with different other people that are involved in the commercial release of the film, because apparently it is not appealing. I thought this myself too, but it was important to keep it as it is for a lot of different reasons. Of course, there is a sort of imposition. It's like a statement, of course, like you have to look at this film through this title. You cannot escape the title anyway. Not talking about just about this film. And it had to keep, to have this echo of a grave somehow, an inscription on stone. It's like and there is a symmetry in the graphics, like you can identify inside the film, like, you know, in the approach of, you know, every story. And we have two stories that that are long takes, and two other stories that are being cut. I don't know who is the M, who is the X. Was important the X, why not 2020 like with because I believe it is 2020 is at the crossroads of there is something, something happened there. Not just in 2020, but 2020 is like will be remembered for a long time. In Romania, for example, I mean, people from my generation, there was a time before 77, was the earthquake in 77, and there was a time after 77, and we were referring to the periods like this. Was before the earthquake, was after the earthquake, and then was 89, it was before the revolution, after the revolution. And then 2020 stayed with me like this, was so obvious. Before 2020 was 2001, was 9/11, was before 9/11, after 9/11, because this was very serious, very important moments in the history of the planet that changed our lives forever. And said it has to be like this forever. This is important. 2020 is important. And why is important? And everyone, I mean, we need to do our homework and to ask ourselves questions, more serious questions. I mean, this is an invitation that I'm addressing myself first, not to you. In general, everybody is free to do whatever he or she thinks, chooses to do and think. But maybe it's a question of generation, I don't know. But for me, this cycle of cataclysms has a sense in itself, this cycle of, it's like keep on repeating. I was born in 67, so what happened before and what happened in 67? I know in 65 Ceausescu came to power in Romania. And 20 years before that was the end of the Second World War. In 52, Stalin died. In 64, in Romania, they put an end to this gulag, because we had in Romania this. Not like in Russia, but for a small country like Romania was ugly enough. So it's like the evil that is playing a very strong card on and on in cycles. But we can speculate a lot about the title. I mean, and I'm not going to get too much into it because This is not my... But roughly it is about the year 2020.
Any more questions? Because I think it's what you just said, I think put us in the mid exactly why this film is important anyway. Because it's the people, every of us, sometimes we forget these things, that how these moments are so important in the...
Maybe the film is not important, but what is important is that we just tend to forget that there are horrible things under the sun that are taking place on and on. Somebody asked me why the last story, what is this story having to do with 2020, with the pandemic? Well, I believe that there are lots of things that are ugly enough in order to make ourselves forget about ourselves and paying attention to the others. And we are just don't do it. We just don't do this. We are just focusing on ourselves. For my generation, I believe for my generation, because for me it's a certitude. I didn't know that in Romania there were these prisons, communist prisons, this gulag a la Roumaine, took place between 45 and 64. And then after Ceausescu replaced this way of oppression with the psychiatric hospitals. And because nobody talked about it, nobody used to, I mean, it was not, you had to avoid it because there was a danger. And then after the falling down of communism, they start publishing books, and I discovered the horrors of this regime, and especially the Stalinist period of Romania. And these were things that took place in our world. It was a very beautiful world with a very bright future at the horizon, lots of promises. It was just rubbish. It was just a bunch of lies and a huge amount of sufferance. And people didn't dare to talk about this because they were still under surveillance by Securitate. So this thing, and we tend to think, oh, it stopped there. And then, no, it is not true. And from the beginning of the world, these things are going on and on and on and on. And it's unbelievable how we accommodate this, how we adapted ourselves to this state of fear, constant fear of, and it's worse now than it was before, because you don't dare to say something because you are going to be executed on Facebook and other social networks. Nobody dared to think, to speak out, to talk about serious matters, and to nobody. Very few people, and there is a sort of feeling betrayed by the intellectuals, like we felt after the falling down of the communism, because there were lots of intellectuals during the communist time, and they were just silent, and those who spoke, they were ostracized. Anyway, I'm not going to enter this subject, but what I want to say is that when you are making films, you have a voice, and I believe you have to speak out and to speak out. It's not like, invitation to the revolution. I don't believe that such thing exists, the revolutions. It's just for the history books. It is not for the real life. But I believe this is one of the... I believe this is the position of an artist, of the filmmaker. It's the position of the boy in the new clothes of the emperor, Hans Christian Andersen. I don't know the title in English. When the boy is shouting, the emperor, the king is naked. You have to say it. You have to speak out. Because you are going to lose, otherwise you are going to lose the sense, the whole sense of being. It is about to be or not to be, in a way. And it's our duty, not the duty of the filmmakers. Of course, it's the duty of the filmmakers, but it's the duty of the whole planet. Our duty as humans. It is inconceivable to be perfect. Cannot be perfect. We are not perfect. But it is so fucking hard to be human. But we tend to think that we are because we were born like this. No. You have to become. You have to do something to you have to stay on your feet. It is a long process. It is not because you were born like this, now you look like a woman, like a human. You don't look like a dog, but you behave like a dog, or like I mean, no offense. I mean, I have a dog at home. No, but I had this in my mind. Of course, somebody said, no, because the dogs are stupid. For me, this is, I mean, we are living in a world, I believe, and it's my personal belief, that God made this world as it is. And we receive these animals like models. You cannot identify between humans this amount of loyalty and fidelity that you can receive from a dog. And we believe that we are better than the dogs. And it's very hard to be a human. It's very, very hard, I believe. I believe 2020 it's the year of surrendering, the capitulation. I believe. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that we lost this. I hope not, but still I'm afraid we lost a big part of ourselves there behind during this 2020. We've been to Berlin. Malmkrog was screened in Berlin, and it was a Q&A, and I had this reflection there, because it was like they were talking about the pandemic, and then all the people who had this physiognomy of Oriental Chinese, they were like being isolated by the crowd. You see this one, this guy has to have something, but you can have Chinese people from China or from extreme Orient living in Berlin for ages. But because of the face, you assumed from the start that they had to carry a sort of virus with them. I mean, this way of behaving, because there was this rumor that, pay attention, because there is it was so pitiful. It was so, I mean, the lack of solidarity was unbelievable. We were pretty much ashamed by the fact that we didn't react against the communism when, I mean, during Ceausescu's regime. And we had this complex in Romania that, you know, we are good for nothing. We didn't react. And there was this coup d'etat, putsch, revolution, I don't know what, that took place in '89. And so in the end, we said, okay, we were good. We fought against it, which is completely rubbish. It's just, I'm not going to enter this subject now, but then after I realized that it's, in fact, it is something that is having to do with our trust. Because the tendency, and especially in the Western world, the tendency of people is to trust the government, to trust them. And it is not the fault of the people, because it has to be like this. You go to the doctor, you are not going to question his authority. You are going to believe him, to trust him. And this is how it has to work. But in 2020, we lost this. Now we are suspicious about everything. I stopped to Madrid. I came here by car. I stopped in Madrid. And I realized how to take the elevator on my own. No waiting, you know, big hotel, you're waiting there, people behind you. Just a cough, you know. The elevator came, I enter, and then I'm alone, free, with a huge elevator for my own. You are coughing a bit, and then, are you okay? Before 2020, coughing is like nothing. So, anyway. So, that's why 2020. It's a long answer. Sorry.
But it's a very, I think it was
colorful.
Important. No, it's important because, you know, this kind of reflection, nobody now is doing that. They keep for them and they don't talk. And the people
because there is a big amount of fear, and
yeah.
it stayed with us, and it is growing.
Yes.
Because we are feeding this fear, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Cristi.
you.
We'll go.
Thank you for staying.
Thank you very much.